welcome back to my channel. So today is my baby girl's birthday. I am so excited. If you're watching this, happy birthday. I love you so much, and I just love having to spend another year watching you grow and just be with you and just see the type of person that you're going to be, which is an amazing, wonderful, caring, and sweet person. Okay, so as I was gearing up towards my daughter's birthday, I was like, oh, I'm thinking back to when she was born and then back to when my son was born. So never is like, it's never too late to give my birth story. I love hearing birth stories. Like every time I'm on YouTube and I see someone, they're pregnant, I was like, oh, I can't wait till they have their baby so I can hear their birth story. It's just so relaxing just to hear all these people bring life into this world and how they did it. The struggles, the pains, the happiness, the joy, just the whole journey. I just enjoy it. So I'm going to share mine with yours. Okay, so I was pregnant with Madison in 2014, and when I found out I was pregnant, I was 9 or 10 weeks pregnant, and we had been trying for like a year. But to be fair, I wasn't tracking it the right way until I got this awesome app and well, actually I was using the app and when I would be ovulating, but it wasn't working, and I didn't realize it wasn't working until like so much time later. Anyway, so I got the ovulation test and that worked, and I became pregnant within like a month. So anyway, my pregnancy was okay with Madison. There was a ton of sciatica, a lot of heartburn, and because we are tall people, my daughter, she was growing tall. And I tell her this all the time. I was like, when you was in my belly, you will always stretch out and push your feet right here on my right ribs. Sometimes I couldn't breathe, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I have to rub her and have her calm down. But anyway, this is a birth story, not a pregnancy story. Anyway, so the day I was due on the 13th, which is my favorite day. I love Friday the 13th. I love Friday the 13th. I like the creepiness of it, and I get into that later. But anyway, she was due on Friday the 13th, and I woke up that morning, and I know the difference between Braxton Hicks and these pains, and it was different. And then I was texting my coworker at work. It was like early in the morning, and I felt a sharp pain. I was like, holy cow, Batman. I was like, these cramps are serious. And then my friend's like, uh-oh, it might be time, because she has a baby too. And I was like, we'll see. And then my husband's like, I won't go to work if I were you. I was like, no, this is my last day. I want to make sure that my replacement, like, she's good, she's trained, and I've showed her everything she needs to know before I go. And if she has any questions, I want to answer it for her. And my replacement, oh my gosh, she was such a sweetheart. And she was very different. So, I can't remember her name, but she was just so kind and just such a nice, pure spirit. I didn't know her, but her auras that she gave off was very positive, and I enjoyed that a lot. And she was just beyond. Anyway, so I went to work. I was doing my reports, and I was doing all this stuff, and then my contractions was coming. So I have my app on my phone, and it tells me how many minutes they're apart. So at first it started off at 3, and you're supposed to go to the hospital when you're at 3 minutes. But it was morning time. I was like, no, okay, I can do this. It's fine. And then I was breathing, and then my coworker, she was like, the one I was training, she was like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm just having contractions. It's okay. Like, you having contractions? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. You need to go to the hospital. I'm like, no, let me finish these reports. Let me do this and do this. So, like, I have a list of things I want to finish. And then so like an hour or two later, like 2 hours later, I was starting to be like 2 minutes apart, and then 1 minute apart. And then I was still working. And my other coworker, she sent me a message. She was like, stop working and go to the hospital. We know you're in labor. I was like, I'm going, just give me a second. I was like, please don't let me give birth in the city. Don't let me give birth on the train. And then, oh, the night before, I had a manager. I didn't like this manager. She was very micromanaging, and she like wanted everything perfection. And she would nitpick on everything that I was doing, and it drove me crazy. So the night before, the reason I'm saying this because it's very important, I had a meeting with her and my replacement, and she wanted to show me like this new software and how to do my certain things in my job description. And I'm like, I'm going to be gone for like 3-4 months. I'm not going to remember this. I might as well just take this when I get back. And it was after work, and I was so mad because I like to get off work on time. At 5 o'clock, I am out the door. And I was just sitting there, and then she was like, oh, how are you feeling? I'm like, I'm in pain. I have sciatica. She was like, oh, okay. And then she was going over this stuff, and I didn't even write anything down. I'm like, oh. And so I went home. I was furious. And so, long story short, I just want to say this first. Even though I didn't like her, I appreciate her. And because of the way that she was trying to gear me, and it was annoying, it brought me out of my comfort zone, but I feel like it made me a better employee. Like all the jobs that I am, it made me more organized, more determined, and I just really appreciate her. And I saw her about some years later, and I was like, oh, hey. And then I actually thanked her. And I told her, I'm like, I didn't like you at all. I'm like, you drove me crazy. And she just laughed and laughed. But I was like, but I thank you, because if you didn't do all that, I wouldn't have gotten this promotion that I got at the job, and it's to you. Anyway, so yeah, I'm working. And then I was like, all right, I gotta go. It was like around lunchtime, because it was like a minute apart, and it wasn't, sometimes it wasn't even a full minute. I was just contracting like crazy. The tightness was serious. The pressure was serious. So my replacement was like walking me to the door. She was like, you want me to call you a cab or something? I'm like, no, I just take the train. And then the manager, she was stopping me, was having like small talk. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to go. And she was like, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then she was like, she's in labor. She was like, she's in labor? She was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, you gotta go. So I finally left, slowly wobbling to the train station. It was just like 3 blocks away. That was the worst train ride of my life. I was sitting on the train ride, and I was holding on, and I was breathing. And I was like, I was holding my stomach. And nobody even asked me how I was feeling. I mean, you know, okay. Not really surprised, but I'm holding my stomach, and every time you go over a bump, there's pressure down there. Every time you like stop, oh gosh, it was so bad. And then I told my husband to meet me at the train station. We have to go straight to the hospital. And of course, I had my go bag, and I already told my doctor my birth plan. And then so I got in the car, and I called my doctor, and I couldn't even talk. So that's how you know you're really in labor. That is so painful. It's hard for you to talk or speak. So I called him, and I was like, I'm in labor. He was like, you in labor? I'm like, yes. And then it took me a minute to reply again. I'm like, I'm coming to you. He's like, no, go to the hospital. Okay, so then we went to the hospital. This is going to be a long video. I like to talk. And I'm very detailed. But anyway, we go to the hospital, and the contractions are serious. And I think I lost my mucus plug when I got there. I don't remember. But then the room I was in, it was a nice room. It was pretty, it was really big. And I was like, where's my doctor? Where's the doctor? He was like, oh, he's not here yet. I'm like, what do you mean he's not here yet? Yo, he'll come back later. I'm like, but I'm contracting. And then I don't know how much I effaced yet, but I think I was probably like at 70%. I don't remember. And then so I've never felt this pain before. And I didn't want to take any medicines because I didn't want it to risk getting to my baby, so I was going to do it all natural. So I screamed all the time, constantly. Every time I had a contraction, I would scream to the top of my lungs. I would jump on the bed, and I would shake the rails like this. just shaking and screaming. And then my husband, oh, he is such a trooper. I mean, I could not do without him. I'm a physical person when it comes to like my family. So like the hugs was everything. I would hug him, he would hug me, he would rub me. If I need anything, he would grab it. I mean, he was just like, I was working and he was working too. He never sat down. He was always at my side. He was constantly doing something to try to relieve the pain. And I thank him for that because he was just my everything. And so then when it finally came time to it, I was like, where's the doctor? He was like, oh, he's here. He's changed the clothes. And so I yelled at him. I was like, go get the doctor. He was like, okay. And he just sprinted out. And I don't yell at him. And then the doctor finally came in, and he was like, okay, so what you're going to do is every time you have a contraction, you're going to push. And I'm like, what? Nobody told me this. Why do when I'm in pain, I have to work and push? When I'm in pain, I just want to sit there and scream and do nothing. But now I have to push through this pain? No. I thought like the pain was like, okay, the baby's coming, and then when the contractions stop, then you can push. I don't know why I thought that. Nobody told me anything about pushing, but that was difficult. And then so a part of my birth plan was I didn't want my husband to look down there at all because I didn't want to scar him, you know, whatever. I don't know what's going on down there. I'm pretty sure it's like a horror show, but it's a good horror show, but I just didn't want to scar him. But he's a trooper. He doesn't care. And then the doctor was like, oh, the head is coming. The head is right here. He was like, look, give her encouragement. Tell her, come look. And I'm like, what the fuck? Didn't I just tell you in my birth plan? And we went over in your office. I didn't want him looking down there. And he looked down there. And he was like, yeah, I can see the head. You're like, she's there. And whatever. And I said, come on, push. And I felt her shoulders coming. I felt like knives. It felt like when I was pushing, it felt like liquid fire. Like somebody just lit something on fire and shoved up in me, and it was just burning. That's what it felt like. They was like, oh, you forget the pain after you have labor, after you have the baby. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna make sure I remember this pain because it is intense. It is the worst pain of my life, but worthy. And then so she finally came out, and I was exhausted. And then he cut her cord. And then they put the baby, our baby on my chest because I want to breastfeed. And so she was on my chest, and then it felt so, it's like a psychedelic feeling. I don't know, but she was on my chest and it didn't feel real. It's like it was a dream and I wasn't waking up. And I'm like, and I asked my husband, I was like, do we just have a baby? And then he was like, yep. And he was like, all smiles or whatever. And she was just so cute. And she was just sitting there like 6.7 pounds, 19 inches long. And she took to the breast immediately. Like she just started nursing just like that. And she was hooked for 2 years. So that's the birth of my daughter, which is my oldest. Now the birth of my son was a little bit longer. I found out I was pregnant, like, because we wanted our children to be 2 years apart. So I was like, okay, Madison, she's about to be 2. We might as well just start. Just go ahead and start. And so because we knew the right way on how to get pregnant, we got pregnant within like, what, 2 months? It didn't take that long. And then so the pregnancy with my son was okay. Mainly with him, I didn't have sciatica, which is good. Oh, and my daughter had a lot of acne for some reason. But with my son, I only had a little bit of heartburn. The only thing with my son, oh, and with my daughter, oh my gosh, constipation was serious. Sometimes I wouldn't poop for like days. I'm like, this is crazy. Anywho, I had a little bit of constipation with Noah, but I was eating better. I was eating healthier than I was with my daughter because I changed my diet completely. So I was pooping more. And then Noah, the only thing with him is that he was I grew faster. So I had more belly with Noah than I did with my daughter. I guess because like the muscle memory of the expanding of the belly. Because I was smaller with my daughter, but I was bigger with my son. But he was smaller than her when he was born. Yeah, if you can wrap your mind around that. Anyway, so my son was due Friday the 13th. Yep, again, he was due Friday the 13th, and I was at work, and I went for my checkup, because when you're towards the end of your pregnancy, you see the image people like twice a week, so you can see if the baby's still growing. And so when I was in there, it was a Wednesday, and I was like, my coworkers, I'm like, okay, bye. I might see you guys tomorrow. I might not. And I was like, oh, they were sad. I was like, we'll see. So I went to the place, and they was like, okay, yeah, the baby is not growing anymore. We could take the baby out. We could get the baby out of there today. I'm like, what? Wait a minute, hold on. Because we already planned for my brother to come down from Cortland, because he was going to watch our daughter, because I had to have my husband in there with me. I had to. As a backup, I was going to have like 2 of my coworkers going to meet me at the hospital, and they was going to be there. But all in all, I probably would have had them watch Madison. But even though I don't trust anybody to watch our children, I don't know. I would just trust those 2 if they was like close by. But I was like, oh my gosh, I got to give notice. He can't just leave out of the blue and come down here. But he already told his job that, you know what, my brother's having a baby, so I have to be down there with them. So thank goodness, it was like, go see your doctor, go see your OB/GYN, and then we can get you in the hospital. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I don't want to have the baby now. And it's like, we're going to induce you. And that was also a red flag, because I do not want to be induced. I don't want any medicine at all. And so I went to the doctor, and he was like, you know what, I'm tired. Let's do this in the morning. In my head, I was like, yes, in the morning. Okay. I was like, okay, I can do the morning. So he was like, yeah, meet me at the hospital at 7. And so we're going to induce you. And I was like, okay. And so we called our brother. He was like, yeah, can you come down and blah, blah, blah. So he was on his way. And then I was telling my husband, I'm like, we're not getting induced. We need to figure out a way how to get this baby to start coming out on his own. So we did some stuff that night, and then I had some spicy stuff, and I had my birthing ball. I was bouncing on the birthing ball all night, and then in the morning, we were supposed to be there at 7, but I was like, you know what? I want to treat myself. So I went to Starbucks, I got a latte, and I got a chocolate croissant. It was so good. So, we went to the hospital 2 hours late. I was like, there you are. You're finally here. I was like, yep, I'm here. And I felt a little bit of contraction going on, but it wasn't that strong. So it was like, we're going to wait for a minute to see if you start contracting on your own before we induce you. And I was like, okay. So I had like this monitoring band around my belly. I was like, all right, Chris, let's go walk back and forth. So my brother was there watching Madison in the hospital. And we had this long hallway, and we walked back and forth, holding hands, just talking about stuff, me stopping between contractions to breathe, and we probably walk up and down probably like 50 times or more. And then every time I get to the end, I'll do squats. So I do like 20 squats every time I went down, and then I come back and I go back down. And I kept doing that for, I don't know, it was a long time. And then I had to stop because, like, oh, we can't monitor your baby with the thing because you keep doing squats. And I was like, all right, fine. And then we went to the hospital, and then so I had to go to the room and get in the bed. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go. So my birthing plan, I always want to like wash like Always Sunny, which is what I wanted to do with my daughter, but I didn't have time. And her labor was 5 hours from hospital to birth. And then our son, I wanted to like play some games or whatever. Didn't have time for that either. Because when I got to the room, I had to go to the bathroom and my mucus plug came out. And that's when the contractions really started. Now with my son, it didn't feel like fire. It felt like knives. Like, because my body just gave birth to a baby, I guess it was more sensitive to the feeling of when the baby was pushing their way out. So it felt like my son was doing like army crawls like this and like nudging his head through my canal. I felt every single movement he was doing. And I feel like we were working together. We was a team. Like, he was like moving his way out. He was working hard trying to get out. And of course, knowing me, I was screaming to the top of my lungs. Scream, scream, scream. And I was screaming so much, and I got quiet. And the nurse came in. She was like, is she okay? We're just checking on her. And he was like, yeah, no, she's fine. He was like, no, because he's like, we're checking on her because we can't hear her screaming down the hall. And then as soon as she said that, I started screaming again. I was like, ah! But yeah, okay. And then I was screaming so much, and I was so tired. And I was like, Curtis, I can't do it anymore. I'm tired. And he was like, and again, nonstop, he was working. He was always by my side, giving me so many hugs. Those hugs are everything. They release those positive endorphins, well, not positive endorphins, but they release those endorphins, those happy genes or whatever cells, and it works temporarily. But he was like, I know you can, just keep going. He was encouraging me. And then contraction came, I screamed, and then by some miracle, the nurse came in and she was like, do you want to try this? It's laughing gas. And I was like, no medicine. I don't want any medicine. And she was like, and I was breathing and breathing. She was like, no, it's not medicine. She was like, it's laughing gas. It'll be out of your system before it touches the baby. And that's all I need to hear. As long as it's not going to touch my baby, I'm fine. And I was like, yes. And then Kurt's like, whoa, are you sure? I was like, yes, get it. And then she went to go get it. And it seemed like it took her 12 hours to get it. I think I went through like 2 or 3 more contractions before she came back. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is taking her so long? This is hurting so much. I am so tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And then she finally came in. I was like, yes, thank Lord. Yes, she's here. And then she had to set it up. I'm like, why didn't you set it up before you left? She had like to put the mask and the tube and connect it. I'm like, do that before you come in here. I am going crazy. So then she finally cut it all together. And she gave me the mask, and I quickly took it. And I took like 3 or 4 deep breaths. I was like, at least three good breaths, I believe. And then that 3rd breath, I passed out. My doctor was like, and then Curtis was, and then I was out for like a split second, but I heard everything. And then Curtis, and then my doctor was worried. He was like, Nicole, like slapping my, like gently pushing my cheek. And then I heard Curtis like, oh, she's okay. And I'm like, what the world? So I, and then the doctor was like, get the smelling salt to wake me up. But I was awake. I was just laying there with my eyes closed, and I was just in a different type of feeling. I was like super relaxed, and I was like it wasn't hurt. It was hurting, but it wasn't as bad. And then all of a sudden, I had this big smile on my face, and my eyes were still closed. And then my doctor was like, oh yeah, she's fine. She's just, it's just a laughing gas. And then right after I smiled, here comes my baby. I was like, oh my gosh. I woke up. I was like, I have to push. It was like, no, don't push it. We're not ready. I was like, no, I have to push. I don't care. He's coming now. And it was so dramatic. And I was like, he's coming. And they wasn't ready. They had to scramble everywhere. It was getting gloves. It was getting stuff to grab the baby because he was coming. Like, he was like almost out. There was no crowning of the head. He was coming out like flying out of me. And then they finally got everything together like quickly. It was instant. And then he came out, and I did a finally push, and I let a big scream. And then he put me, and then they didn't even cut the umbilical cord yet. And he put him on my chest, and I just started crying. And then I was looking at him, and he was looking at me. And then it was just such a beautiful moment. Just have like my son there with me, and Yeah, I would do it all again. Both births, both pains, everything. I would do it again just to bring them in this world. And he didn't take to the boob as fast as my daughter. Like, it took a couple of tries to get him on the boob. And then when he was finally on the boob, he was hooked. And then 6 pounds, 6.32 ounces, 19 inches. Our son was here. So yeah, that's my Jamagster. Oh, let me tell you. My daughter, like, because you know how they say, like, sometimes you poop when you're in labor. Well, I didn't eat that much, like, during the day. Like, during lunch at work, I'll eat like oatmeal and apple. And then that day, I had like something little. So I didn't have a lot in my system to poop out. But if I did, I was like, I hope I don't poop on my baby. But I was starving and I was tired. And then so I asked my husband to go get something to eat after the labor, and he brought back McDonald's, and I'm like, we don't eat McDonald's. We haven't ate McDonald's since we was in college, and we don't eat fast food. And then let me tell you, those fries, those burgers were the greatest meal in my entire life. It was so delicious. Oh my gosh. It was exactly what I needed. After I had Noah, the hospital gave us like a sweetheart dinner, but I wanted Indian food, so he got Indian food, and that was great too. So yeah, that's my video. If you guys want to, if you like this video, I know it ran a little bit long, but I talk a lot and I like to give details. If you want to know about like my nursing journey, or you want to know how it was being a first-time parent or having a toddler and a baby, if any parenting things you want to know about, leave a message in the comments and I'll do a video on it. If you're new to my channel, thank you guys for subscribing, or I hope you do subscribe. I talk about everything on my channel. Like, my main focus is hair, hairstyles, or hair products or reviews, but I like to do videos like this, which is different, and just to be like versatile, I guess you could say. Okay, so yeah, that's my video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and push the notification button. That way you know the next time I upload a video, which I would try to do every week, but life's just been lifing, and you know how it is. But I will still see you in the next video. So yeah, again, until next time, bye.